in the holiday times. It's the beginning of a C3 tradition. Greg's idea to say, we got to do something during the bye week. And we need to do something not for us, but for someone else. Yep. So we are going to give back, and this is going to be our go-to bye week charity fundraiser every year. Cody, let's go to the next topic.
Let's do that. And the next topic has been something that has been heavily on the minds and tongues of Panther fans everywhere. And really not just Panther fans. I mean, if we're being real, NFL fans and NFL players in general. And it's this turf versus grass discussion and debate that we've been having. And it bears repeating that the players do not like, I repeat, do not like playing on turf. Now, we have recounted all the reasons why David Tepper wants the turf. You know, he famously brought music back to Charlotte, so it's easier to repurpose Bank of America Stadium for concerts and things of that nature. But first and foremost, David Tepper bought a football team. He is the NFL owner of the Carolina Panthers. And I have to say that he is failing his football team by continuing to insist upon this turf. PJ Walker, who is now suffering another high ankle sprain, which would be now the third quarterback injury this year that has come to the Carolina Panthers at Bank of America Stadium. In this Joe Person article, PJ Walker is quoted as saying, "Do I think the league should go to more grass fields? Absolutely. I think it just helps the body more. A lot of guys appreciate the fact that we get out there on Sundays and run around on the grass. It's just more healthy on the body, the joints, the bones. All those things matter, especially if you want to continue to play for a long time in this league." Brian Burns, in the same article, said, "I hate the turf. Wears down on your joints. It doesn't give any. When you fall, that shit just hurts," said Burns. "There have been so many concussions just from people's heads getting slammed into the turf." This has been a big issue that continues to be an issue. And I mean, what do we even do at this point? Are we shouting into the void for no one else to hear us? Hey, David Tepper, you're hurting your own football team by going with this artificial turf that none of your players want to play on. It's absolutely absurd to me. And I don't know why David Tepper is continuing to be so stubborn about this and not going back to the grass.
This is Shaq Thompson who tweeted this out. "No one knows the beatings our bodies take when playing on turf fields more than us. How many injuries before the league opens their eyes? Hashtag safer fields." And really what's kind of crazy is a lot of the things what's wild is for so long we've just we complained about Jerry Richardson as not really as being an absentee owner, as kind of being so conservative when it came to the field logo, you know, and then Tepper comes in, changes the field logo, and we're like, get so hyped. The irony is over the last year, the conversation shifted back to a lot of people saying we want Richardson back, but here is the toast of the town that was gorgeous about Bank of America and why he wanted an open air stadium is because he, a former player, was really proud of that grass field. You went on a tour of the stadium. They would let you go in the press box. They let you go all around the stadium. They take you down to the field, and they don't let you walk out on it. You get to walk to the right out of where the players come out, or where like some people come on, and they would never let anybody on the field in the off season.
Right.
Not even small groups of people. It was the toast of the NFL, and really kind of bizarre, CK, that not only, I mean, David Tepper comes in and puts this turf in because he wants to keep Bank of America an event place going on all year and be able to have events like a day before a game. Right. So he could have the Garth Brooks concert on Friday and then be ready for a game on Sunday.
And the soccer team too.
But what we even saw, though, is that the soccer unions or whatever, some clubs have agreements where they only can play on grass fields. And the Panthers played, I think it was Chelsea. They played 2 teams maybe this season where they had to roll out temporary grass fields.
Right.
It's kind of bizarre.
You've already had to do it. It absolutely makes no sense to me, man. Greg, I think you were going to say something and your microphone was muted. Or CK, go ahead.
I was just going to say that real quick. I was going to say I really want to save him a lot of money. Like, I'm concerned with saving David Tepper money.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Let's make sure to do that. Go ahead.
Yeah. So it's interesting. Are you guys aware of how many teams in the NFL have grass fields?
16.
I don't think it's a lot. Oh, it's half the league?
Entire NFL.
Who are they? Green Bay, maybe?
One of them is actually the new Las Vegas Raiders stadium that was just built. And they made the decision to put Bermuda grass in their stadium because I think that they realized that, right? I think that you're making this a less of a attractive destination, meaning that you're guaranteed to play 8 to 9 games on turf, and then probably another half of the other games. So you're essentially guaranteeing you're playing 75% of your entire NFL career as a starter, or in the NFL regular season on turf grass. And so I agree. I think that wholeheartedly. I think mark my words, in the offseason, knowing how David Tepper seems to really care about what the public thinks about him, because he's clearly watching social media. And how often do we have these conversations? And then the very next week or the next offseason, they're making that change. I think that if he wants to keep this as an attractive destination for free agents, for people to continue to stay signed on here, I think he's going to need to make that change, because these guys are starting to become smarter. They're starting to become more aware of what's hurting their bodies and their careers in the long term. And now we've got 3 quarterbacks that have had high ankle sprains. We have a starting cornerback that has had a torn or a ruptured, whatever it is, Achilles, that has caused him to have season-ending season-ending surgery. And then you've got, and I don't know where Chin got hurt. I feel like it was at home, but he got hurt. There's been a lot of lower body injuries, whether it be quads or hammies or calves or whatever have you. I think at this point in time, it's too. When you have everybody, every team, every player for the most part, talking about how important it is to have grass fields, I think it's hard not to listen to those guys. Yeah. Now, when you're talking about a rainy game like we had, turf beats the grass field all day, every day.
Not if it's designed well. That was one of the things. This is not Soldier Field. Who is, I bet you they're one of the grass fields. That's like a 70-year-old. I mean, I don't know. Every player says that place is a complete dump. But the Panthers field was like, the drainage on that was like incredible. Like it really was like a top of the line grass field. But I mean, I guess the only times I ever saw Bank of America maybe a little look rough under the grass is when they had a college game the day before on a Saturday, and it was a rainy weekend, and you had a college game and then the pro game on Sunday. I just don't know if any of this really matters, though, is that unless the players are going to just demand it in the union, and it's just so hard because these stadiums, I don't know, how is an owner going to pitch it to a community to throw in on a stadium, which every single one of them want to do, right? It's like there's only, maybe Dan Schneider was the last one. Dan Schneider owns that stadium, FedEx Field, which was top of the line, state of the art, like 30 years ago. But which is crazy. I still find it wild that a stadium is considered antiquated after 25 years, like where they're like, I don't get it, because Like you don't just say about like my house. I mean, people live in houses that are 70 years old. I mean, I don't. To me, it's
beyond a house bizarre. Though. What else do you use that you used 25 years ago?
Well, but hold on.
There are very few things, you know.
Yeah. To add to this conversation, though, citing statistically higher in-game injury rates involving non-contact and lower extremity injuries, NFL Player Association President J.C. Treader said Saturday the union wants the slit film surfaces removed at 6 venues: New Orleans, New York, that's the Jets and Giants, Minnesota, Cincinnati, Detroit, and Indianapolis. Now
all older fields, maybe one is, and then the New York one's interesting because that one's the smart one because there's a game played there every weekend.
Yeah, and the at Bank of America Stadium, they have a blend. It's not as bad as some of the others because the Panthers have a hybrid surface that combines monofilament fibers with slit film fibers, different from the entire slit film turf the NFLPA is targeting. However, Austin Corbett, offensive lineman, went on to say that no matter what kind of turf you're playing on, it's still harder on your body, saying you can talk to coaches, trainers, other staff that are just standing on the turf for the whole game, and their joints are feeling it after the game, said Corbett, the Panthers union representative. It's just harder. There's not as much cushion. So even though ours,
I know it's got to be suck being tackled on that shit.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And the final, and the final bit to add to this, Panthers receiver DJ Moore said he and other veteran players have met with David Tepper during training camp this year, and again during the season, to let the hedge fund manager know that they prefer to play on grass. DJ said we brought it up a few times, but at the end of the day, he made the call. Moore said so we can only put our input in. And hopefully he hears. He usually does hear us out on things. So not only is it known by fans, but the Panthers players have gone to David Tepper themselves and let them know that they have an issue with playing on turf. Mm-hmm. So,
unfortunately, this is not the type of grass that the players' union is going to go to bat for. You know, when the players' union goes to
I don't think they have the ammunition to. I don't think the union is anywhere strong enough to muscle billionaire owners with stadiums that they're trying to pitch to communities being economic boosters and drivers. If you can't use that stadium like all day, every day, how do you pitch the economic driver factor of what an NFL team does for whatever, which there are studies that say, look, is David Tepper's going to come in and say, oh, look how we brought you music. Charlotte never heard music before until David Tepper got there. Or he talks about how they save restaurants during the pandemic, which is also kind of crazy, this poor billionaire. But the argument that owners do when they ask for state tax funding of an assistance in building these stadiums is like, hey, we bring economic growth. And if you have a stadium that just can't be used as frequently for non-football events, how do you pitch that economic component, which some people think is overblown, period, anyway, that they don't think that the tax dollars are recouped as well as the owners want you to believe. And we know David Tepper is pushing or wants a new stadium. Is there any way in this world of technology where we could have some sort of like floating
the Cardinals
something on top of
Dallas
like where they
a retractable field?
So by the way, if you look at soccer stadiums in the UK, they build them in levels. So they have like a level for concerts and events, and then they have their grass football field. And it's literally like you can switch them out for one another. Also, if you look at the Cardinals stadium where they play, they grow the grass outdoors, and then they roll the grass into the stadium come game time.
But that can't be as normal. It can't be as good of grass. I feel like you should be able to have some sort of floating floor that could be retracted.
Well, that's
Like
what
could
they
be
have in the
temporarily
UK.
put out on top of it where it's not like on the grass smashing it. You have the event and then you pull it back. There's got to be a technology that you can do that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So, hey, I wanted to ask while we're talking about this turf and we're talking about the injuries. I don't know. Neil may have mentioned this before. I was taking a lot of notes. Can we attribute Matt Corral's injury to this?
That was in New England.
Oh, okay.
Oh, are they're grass field?
Nope, I think they're turf.
Really?
Okay, well,
Oh,
me double check.
do you have the list of grass fields? I'd be interested to see.
Yeah, so if we go back to New England is field turf. New Orleans is field turf. Some of these are weird. There's like New York Giants is called UBU Sports Speed Series S5-M. Clearly,
They're in the union's complaint, so
yeah,
they don't like it.
Who is this?
The Jets and the
yeah. I mean, remember they had that weekend where there were like 6 ACL tears in one weekend.
Yep,
like 2 years ago. That was when who was the guy that you liked? Solomon Thomas. Is that his name? For the 49ers a few years ago, defensive tackle. There was like 3.5, 1 half.
So they have, and this is no surprise when you think about some of these guys being rushing teams and whatnot. So you have Washington, you have Tennessee, you have the Bucks, you have San Francisco, you have Pittsburgh. The Eagles is called Deso Grassmaster. I'm assuming that means turf, but I don't know. The Vikings are also turf. The Dolphins are grass. The Rams and Chargers share the same turf. The Raiders are Bermuda grass. Kansas City Chiefs are grass. Jacksonville Jaguars are grass. The Colts are not. Obviously, we already talked about them. Houston Texans are turf. Green Bay is also potentially turf. Deso Grassmaster, similar to one of the ones I said a second ago.
That's a hybrid. I just looked it up. It is part natural grass, part artificial fibers.
Lions are turf. The Broncos are bluegrass or grass, so Kentucky bluegrass. The Dallas Cowboys are Hellas Matrix turf. Bluegrass in Cleveland. Cincinnati is turf. The Bears is grass. Ours is turf. Turf in Buffalo. Baltimore Ravens is grass. Atlanta Falcons is turf. And the Cardinals are grass.
I don't know. It's just like there's got to be.
I think the Cardinals.
Michael
have it right.
Davis. Look, Michael Davis said this. Would you like an engineer's perspective on this?
Absolutely,
yes, we would.
Michael.
You can call in at 252-228-5098. Tell us, or you can even tell us in the chat. We'll definitely highlight. You know what? We want Michael Davis's input. Period. Patron saint.
Oh, Michael Davis.
Yeah, like you could call up and talk about like your family and whatever. We're gonna listen.
I want to hear about how Michael Davis's day is going. Like, how about
I know. Is
what do you have for breakfast, Michael?
Yeah, and also can I highlight from Graves? He said this is literally the best podcast I've ever watched football wise. We appreciate you, Graves. Thanks so much. Hit that subscribe and notification bell, man. If you enjoy the content, happy to have you a part of the C3 Panther Podcast family, man.
I did want to put this out. I sent, and this was the last minute. Actually, you know what? Do we have any more topics? I got one more. In fact, did we ever get a poll up on Dante Foreman?
And don't I always do what you tell me, Tony? So with 97 votes,
stubborn ass.
With 97 votes, who's a better rusher of the football, Dante Foreman or Christian McCaffrey? 57% said Dante Foreman is the better rusher between the two.
Let's go on the thumbnail.
Oh my gosh.
So I mean, yeah, Tony.
We just went from the best football podcast to the worst, just like that.
Hey man, blame your fans. They're not on your side with this one. But all
right, I got another poll for you to put up.
It was like 50-50 most of the time, though.
This is the poll before. We're going to get to this poll and this question after the cat calls tonight. So we're going to give people, should J.C. Horn make the Pro Bowl?
Oh, everyone's going to say yes.
I don't think so yet. I don't think there's been.
I'll put it up.
He's missed too many. Well, I think he's missed a couple of games, and I think
we're not good enough.
I don't think he's had it. Yeah, that's again. Yeah, that right there. Well, actually, you know what? Let's talk about it later. I didn't want to get into it now. Should J.C. Horn make the Pro Bowl? And go ahead and vote in that poll while we're going to do the cat calls and take on these other topics. But I'd also like, is there anybody else on this team that you believe should be eligible? Derek Brown? Icky Ekwonu?
I think Icky deserves at least at least discussion. Austin Corbett.
Yeah.
Played every game. Never heard his name called all year. So
he's the highest rated Panther player PFF through the first 10 weeks.
Wow.
In fact, if you're listening to this podcast later on, I know, is that there's such a lively conversation in the YouTube chat that's live all the time, but there are a ton of people that come back and watch these podcasts on YouTube, listen to them on their podcast catcher. Yeah. Tell us in the comments, should J.C. Horn make the Pro Bowl? Who else should make the Pro Bowl? That's a good way to stack some comments in a conversation, and that helps us crush that algorithm. It helps us continue to develop that sense of community, and we don't want it just exclusive to people who can tune in on Tuesday nights. But good news, you can tune on Wednesday nights for the Beat Check tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. Daniel Wilcox, former Ravens tight end and Super Bowl champion, going to help us preview this Ravens matchup. On Friday, we got the free-for-all. On Saturday, we've got the Madden simulation. On Sunday, we got the post game. And on every day that's got the why, we're putting up clips. We're putting up everything. We killing this game, Cody. What's next?
Hey, man, listen, we really don't have any other segments. I would say let's do some cat calls.
Let's go. I'm ready.
But before we do, we got to hear from our man, Michael Davis, who did respond to us when it comes to the stadiums. He said, so stadiums are ultimately ponds in the sense that you would look at the sediment pond on a grading and drainage plan. That being said, underground drainage capacity is limited by the surrounding infrastructure. That location in particular, for Bank of America, is served by inadequate storm water systems.
So, well, damn, man, you know what? Michael Davis, I hope David Tepper is listening. That's his dream to hear. He needs a new stadium somewhere else. Yeah. Did you see that him and Rock Hill are about to reach an agreement?
$20 million. Well, it's not him. It's his bankrupt company.
Okay. And it looks like they're going to have to, they're going to potentially shell over $20 million and refund Rock Hill, which is wild.
Wow.
Well, you might as well.
So everybody wins?
Well, it's everybody wins because basically what this does is it allows nobody to be able to ask questions about who was wrong and who was right in this scenario.
So all the billionaires get saved. Like everybody who has a ton of money loses nothing.
I mean, at some point we're going to have to talk about. No, because these any of these big companies always win in bankruptcy somehow. Look, Donald Trump has filed bankruptcy like 30 times, I feel like. I saw a picture of 50 Cent. He got in trouble when he was going through bankruptcy court or something, and he was taking pictures of all this cash, and he was explaining how you're reshuffling your debt and that you can temporarily take cash out and put it back in. So these pictures weren't contradictory to his claim. Look at what Elon Musk is already putting out there. Twitter could be filing bankruptcy next year, and stick around if you want to hear an ice up pick. Twitter wants to be a bank now? Free penicillin for everybody? This has turned into a nightmare in so many ways.
Maybe we spoke too soon on Elon.
Or maybe it's exactly what he wanted. And this is just generating publicity, interaction. Who knows? These guys are wild. The whole Twitter thing has been wild, but it's all people talk about.
Mm-hmm.